Hello everyone, my name is Coach Wilson from CrossFit 254 in Eldoret, and today with me I have a very exciting guest. I'm not even sure whether to call him a guest because he's a member of CrossFit for now close to more than a year.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah. So I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself, tell us more about himself, what he does, and his journey here at CrossFit 254. So over to you, Paul. Just you can maybe tell us your name and what you do.
Thank you, Wilson, and thank you for having me. My name's Paul Okutoyi. I'm a medical doctor, most specifically an orthopedic surgeon. And an orthopedic surgeon, basically what I do is I treat ailments or disorders of the human skeleton. That's bone, joint, and muscle, mostly injuries.
Okay.
Yeah, and I work at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. I head the sports medicine service.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been doing this for?
As an orthopedic surgeon, close to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But as a sports medicine practitioner, I'd say 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because I know you really push hard during your workouts, and some of the movements we do, people might tend to say maybe dangerous, maybe don't do them. If you have this condition or joint problem, don't engage in certain kind of movements. So what would you say is your take on CrossFit or exercise as a whole? But before even we get there, I'd maybe want you to tell people, and maybe even me, how you got to know about CrossFit.
Well, that's an interesting question. So I've been working out for quite some time. So there's the new gym that was being opened in this mall, Rupa Mall, where I just joined as a member, and I used to come for workouts, the traditional workouts, as you know, traditional bodybuilding or cardio. And then next to the gym is CrossFit was being opened. I've been working out for quite some time, close to 15 years.
Okay.
So, and when I came to the new mall, I saw CrossFit, and I was obviously wanted to know what it's all about. So the first thing I did was to do some internet searches, and I found out that it's a fairly new concept in this part of the country, especially in Eldoret. In Nairobi, I saw that there were some CrossFit gyms, but this was like the first one being opened in Eldoret. So I did a bit of background checks, and I realized that it's an international concept. And so I decided to give it a try. And one day I walked in, and I talked to one of the instructors, and I was basically interested in just having a feel of what CrossFit is all about. Okay. And yeah, slowly I got hooked to it, and as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah. So I believe when you say you were working out before, because when you came in, your baseline fitness level was pretty amazing. Like when you'd run really fast and for long, lifting still heavy weights. So your fitness level was good. So would you say that you're continually improving, or what would you say about your fitness journey so far?
Well, my fitness journey has had hills and valleys. So initially I used to run a lot. Actually, I've never told you this, but I used to weigh more than 100 kilos.
Oh, wow.
So I started running. And in the course of running, I used to get a lot of injuries. Apart from that, I used to easily get bored. So there were some months I'd really put in like 200 kilometers. Other months, I was either bored or I was injured. Yeah. So obviously I was interested.
Was it by yourself, running by yourself? Or?
Yeah, sometimes by myself. Sometimes I had a running buddy.
Okay.
But there was always that aspect of easily getting bored or easily getting injured, because I was basically using the same muscles. Yeah. I mean, running is a linear activity, and you use the leg muscles mostly.
Very repetitive.
So I just wanted a change. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I decided to give CrossFit to try it out.
And have you gotten bored so far? That answer better be. So how is your experience now once you came into CrossFit?
So the first thing I realized is that the workouts are really varied. That's one. So boredom was thrown out of the window. And that was probably one of the things that was making me plateau in my fitness endeavors. So I realized that the way the workouts at CrossFit are organized, they tend to cater for all regions of the body at different times of the month or different times of the year. And usually there was that element of surprise that always kept me to want to come and experience, a different feel of muscle soreness here, muscle soreness there.
Yeah.
So that's one. Two, what I think I was lacking most in my previous fitness endeavors was the other aspects of fitness, which include flexibility,
Yeah.
warm up, cool down, and these are some of the things that CrossFit is really big on. They really insist on that, and actually, it's part of the schedule. Every daily workout schedule includes those elements of fitness.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I found that first, I'm not getting bored. I'm making gains, and it's interesting. I'm meeting interesting fellows every day, and I think I kind of got hooked to it.
It's interesting you've mentioned variance, because the definition of CrossFit is constantly varied, high intensity, functional movements. So you see variance is a very integral part of CrossFit. It is in variance that the chances of reaching a plateau are very low, and also I guess keeps things interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and before I forget, there's one thing that really I think CrossFit is beneficial because of is that element of, CrossFit is all about functional fitness. So there are these simple activities that you take for granted, like changing a spare wheel, for example, or just squatting to tie your shoelace. These are movements that are ingrained in your DNA. When you're born as a child, these are things that you're born with.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at a young child, just how they do their thing, you realize that a lot of the movements are some of the things that CrossFit teaches upon. So, and being a surgeon, I stand hours. I can stand 4-5 hours doing one operation, and one can really get tired, especially back pain.
Yeah.
And I've realized that ever since I joined CrossFit, I have more endurance when I'm standing, and I feel stronger. My core is strong, my back is strong. So
you mentioned that when you started that your back would cramp up when doing surgery.
when I was doing my surgeries.
And also one thing you see, you've said that it's ingrained in our DNA. That's one of the characteristics of a functional movement, that it is part of who we are. It is part of it's ingrained in our DNA, just like you've said. So it's as if you're planned for this talk, but really we haven't planned. You're talking about it from your own perspective, and it's very interesting to see. So of course, inside the training space, inside a gymnasium, you're pushing yourself, you're pushing your limits, and sometimes it's easy to go beyond that limit. Yeah. And so what would you say for people who you've come across who have gotten injured, maybe in the gym or outside there, because you deal with people who have maybe torn muscles, ligaments, joint problems? Would you say that exercise would be beneficial for them?
As a matter of fact, you'll be surprised. 60% of, let me say 70% of my clients in the clinic, they're not even active people. They're not even gym people. Every now and then I'd see somebody with a shoulder ache. Maybe they have strained the shoulder muscle, but it's more of the exception rather than the norm. So in my anecdotal experience, I think exercise is protective.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this for a long time, for more than 10 years, because actually in my undergraduate, my postgraduate, I actually researched on this, a bit on this. So exercise is, and I believe it now, but I mean, I don't have the science.
Data or
I believe exercise is actually protective. One, exercise will give you cardiovascular endurance, as you mentioned. It will give you muscular endurance and muscular capabilities beyond the normal person who doesn't exercise. And exercise actually increases your bone mass, your bone density. And you see all these things, at the end of it all, when you put all of them together, they actually prevent you from getting an injury.
Osteoporosis is thinning of the bones.
Yes, so exactly.
You're actually delaying that.
Yes,
that
exactly. Actually, it has been shown, and it's actually research has shown that people who actually lift weights, bodybuilders, they tend to have high bone density because as you contract the muscle, it stimulates the bones
Yeah.
to get stronger. So, in a nutshell, exercise is actually preventive.
Yeah.
It's preventive of injury, I will say.
Preventive measure without really a side effect per se, unless
Exactly.
maybe if you push it too much.
Yeah. When you, of course, as with anything, when you push it too hard,
exactly.
then like that's why the elite athletes, the most of the time, every now and then they get like the basketballers, they tear their knee ligaments. That's normal.
So you'd actually encourage someone who's maybe injured, people with arthritis and such conditions, that don't shy away from exercise. As long as, yes, if you have a go ahead from your doctor, just come. And what would you tell them?
Yes, and in fact, this is one of the things I tell my back pain patients. You know, back pain is something that it's sort of a vicious cycle. You bend doing a normal daily activity and you tear a small muscle, and because generally you're maybe sedentary, you're using the car the whole day, you're sitting in a comfortable seat the whole day. So when you don't use your muscles, you lose them. There's that adage: you don't use, you lose.
You lose. Yeah.
So usually these guys, they have weak muscles already, so they easily get injured. But then to get out of this vicious cycle, then you need to get your muscles back to that original fitness that you were when you're maybe in your teens. And that's one of the messages I give my clients every day, that yes, I'm treating you for this injury, but going forward, to prevent it from recurring, then you need to really think about getting physically active.
Okay, so let's now bring it home. What would be your closing statement as from a standpoint? So two standpoints: as an orthopedic surgeon and as just a person who comes into, as a normal athlete who comes into exercise. Let's start with from the orthopedic
Okay, from the orthopedic standpoint, we've already talked about exercise possibly being protective of injuries. So obviously that's one of my key messages, is that we really need to get back to our roots. We evolved to be physically active. So if you want to live to your 80s and be independent, be able to climb your stairs and do normal daily things, take care of your garden, etc.
Be functional.
Yeah, you need, if you want to be functional, thank you. If you want to be functional, you need to be physically active, and that means at least find something that you like doing, something that you think you can partake in 3 to 4 times a week, and you can maintain that up to your 70s and your 80s.
And that's one of the definitions that CrossFit really insists on, that it's about functionality through the years. That health really is work capacity, the ability to do stuff from short duration to long duration, but across your years. Because then you're delaying these
diseases of lifestyle.
Diseases of lifestyle that come from just not exercising. Now you find that it's like a medicine for sorts.
As an athlete, my advice would be, you really need to listen to your body. The issue with athletes, especially the elite athletes, the runners, the rugby players, they always want to be the best. And whenever you keep pushing your body beyond the limits, you're bound to get injuries. And so to prevent that, you really need to, as you're exercising, as you're pursuing your exercise and your fitness journey, you really need to listen to your body, and when you think you're doing too much, probably scale down a bit and make it enjoyable. Make it an enjoyable experience, and not an experience that's supposed to injure you and make you feel all the time, you don't have energy.
Have periods where you take time off.
Yes.
Have periods maybe during the week where you have rest days, just so that you... Okay, that's interesting to hear. So thank you so much for doing this with me. We have enjoyed you being part of CrossFit 254. You're one of the people that people talk about and they want to measure themselves with. So it's good to see up to where your fitness level has gotten to. We wish and we pray that you continue getting fitter without, of course, injury. So thanks, Paul. This is yours. Okay, so there you've had it from Paul here, who is speaking from two different standpoints: as an orthopedic surgeon who really knows quite a bit about joint health and muscles and so forth, and also as an athlete. I can't even add anything on what he has said. Let's be healthy, and be healthy by exercising, eating well, and good lifestyle behaviors. Okay, so from me, I hope to see you either at CrossFit 254 or any other gym that you attend. As long as you do attend, excited to be here, and I'll see you next time.